Let's start this video with a question. Do you believe that there's a way you can earn a residual on other people's spending habits? Let me ask that one more time. Do you personally believe there's a way that you can earn a residual income on other people's spending habits?
Well, Ty, I really appreciate you coming on the bridge with us and doing this recording. There's a lot of people that like to know their options in this business. And as you know, we put together PeoplesDinar.com as a no-boss, no-cost type situation. We're here for one reason, and that's to help people get the best purchase, the best revaluation, the best cash-in at the end of this investment. We've put together a pretty good-sized family here. We really like the way things have come across, and because of that, we want to have all options available. So I appreciated when I got a call from the other day, and you said, hey, Dan, I'd love to be able to explain to you what my company's about. So I appreciate your time. I know you're extremely busy. Can you give us a little bit about your background, your company, and what we can look to expect working with your company?
Definitely, and I appreciate you having me on. I've had a lot of my customers have talked about your site and have nothing but great things to say. They feel that, and they've explained to me that it's kind of an unbiased, open type forum that's pretty much focused on getting out information. So, they've asked me to contact you and at least let you know what we can offer. There's a number of options out there, and so it's great to be able to talk about that. Just real quick, I'll give you a little background on our company and what we're about and how long we've been around. But basically back in 2003, 2004, I was working for the Air National Guard as a C-130 pilot and actually got activated for the war and got sent over there. And while over there, after they came out with a new currency in very early 2004, every serviceman that could get their hands on it was, getting the currency as an investment. We were able to hear the stories of what had happened with Kuwait, and it was fortunate that I was actually able to do some research while I was over there. When I was in Kuwait, based in Kuwait, I was able to get over in Kuwait City and talk to a lot of the currency dealers and traders and kind of get the real scoop on what was going on with the Iraqi dinar and what had happened with the Kuwaiti currency, and it just seemed fairly compelling. So along with everyone else, I was buying for myself as an investment, came back to the United States, and I realized that there was a huge markup on the currency that was being sold here in the United States. It was just seemed kind of ridiculous and excessive at the time. So I thought, there's a possibility to come and, go into business here and do this the right way and offer a fair price and pass on that opportunity, because it really wasn't being sold through banks or anywhere else in the United States. So
you've been doing this pretty much from the very beginning then. You said 2003, 2004?
2004 when it came out, early 2004. I think we made our first sales, it was probably March, April of 2004 is when we started. And our company has been registered since then. It's the parent company of DinarBanker.com is Sterling Currency Group. In terms of Sterling Currency Group, our website name is DinarBanker.com, but we actually have that. If you go to DinarBanker.com, you can always check the About Us, and it has our state registration. We're registered in the state of Georgia, and our money service business has been licensed since 2004 as well. Originally, we started out selling. We did some retail type stuff, but our primary focus starting from 2004 to 2007 was supplying wholesale to all the major dinar sellers in the U.S. and other places. I mean, we've sold to just about everyone. And then in 2007, we kind of saw a trend that we weren't really very happy with in terms of it. There was a lot of people that were selling the dinar and not doing it the right way. There were claims being made that shouldn't have been made. There were some people that were selling it illegally, basically, not registered and not basically being in compliance with the Patriot Act and those types of things. So we decided to go into the retail space, and that's when we started DinarBanker.com in 2007. You can check our website out. We have our Better Business Bureau logo up there. We have our registration. You can actually link directly to it with the Treasury Department. We have our state license. We actually have been audited twice by the Bank Secrecy Act division of the IRS, which is really important, which basically shows that we're in complete compliance with all federal regulations in terms of operating this business. That's why we came in 2007 to do this market. We've been operating ever since there, fairly long and hard.
Ty, before you get up there, let me ask you a couple questions about your site, because I was real impressed with some things I seen there. So if we could back up just a minute before you get away from that. The Dinar Banker website, what I really like about this, and our listeners are going to like this, because when you first get involved in this, you've got a lot of people out there trying to wing it. And what I mean by that, you got people out there getting on these conference calls, and someone's telling them the history of the dinar situation, how it got started. But what you guys really have on your website is a real education history about the dinar, how it got started, what this investment's about, what you can expect. No promises, no promotions, no anything promises as far as how long it's going to be or your expectations of rate is what I mean by that. But there's a lot of information there as far as what someone can look to as far as where this investment's going. It is a real currency. Iraq, before all this took place with Saddam Hussein and the war and the weapons of mass destruction, however you want to call this, it was a valuable country. And what I mean a valuable currency in that country, $3 plus to the American dollar. So it is absolutely not hard to conceive this currency going up back to a solid rate. I mean, I looked at that from the very, very beginning. But your site has a strong way about putting some videos on it. Maybe you could just talk a little bit about the education process you guys put up there, if you don't mind.
No, sure. And that was something actually we put out probably a little over a year ago. Maybe it's a little bit longer than that. I'm not exactly sure when we put it out. But again, we were seeing some things where, people were, a lot of eBay purchases, a lot of, purchases that really weren't from necessarily legitimate sources. We just saw some people coming into the market that we just weren't comfortable with it, because that's not how we operate. And, we understand what the Patriot Act and Bank Secrecy Act is all about and what compliance involves these days with the Treasury Department. And this is a foreign currency. It's anybody selling this, you have to have a license to exchange foreign currency. So one thing we did was we said, let's get some information out there. And so if you go to our website, you can always go to and I would suggest this for anybody that is new to the dinar market. Run through those videos, and it talks about everything from understanding why the electronic exchange rates that you see on the internet are different from what it's sold at, and what affects the pricing on it, to how to determine if your currency is counterfeit or if there's to make sure it's real. There's also a revaluation guide in there. There's a ton of educational videos. If somebody goes through those, there's probably 9 or 10 of them. It'll get you fairly up to speed and at least head you in the right direction in terms of asking the right questions. So, and there's also a whole series of articles on there as well. And I think actually on our toolbar we even have a guide to exchange info that talks about possibilities and options afterwards. But I would highly I'd highly recommend it. We try to keep as neutral as we can on it. But there's a whole series, a whole video which is very important, is how to choose a reputable dealer. There are a number of good dealers out there, but there's also some that I think should be looked at very carefully. It's not always the cheapest price.
Let me ask you something on that, because we've seen people pop up just recently, and I'm not going to name any names. In fact, I don't have anybody explicitly in mind. But if somebody just wanted to resell this, because I have seen this, if they just wanted to purchase it by the millions and then sell it by the hundreds of thousands for a slight profit, there's nothing wrong with making a profit. But do these people, let's say I had a storefront somewhere and I wanted to buy X amount from you and then resell it at a markup, is that illegal if I don't have a license, if I'm not licensed with the Treasury? How does that work?
Basically, if you're selling currency for a profit, you need to have a foreign exchange license. As far as I know, that's what the Treasury Department, when they come in and look at it, you need to have a money service business license as a foreign currency exchange to be selling it, and that's just the rules. If you're making a profit, that's I don't know of any limitations on that.
I think Sterling is a solid company since I've been working for them.
You must think about what you're going to do today. How do you get a piece of that $1 trillion industry? You share the story. You're looking for business partners. When they don't want to be business partners, then of course they want to be a customer. Who's going to say no to saving money on something they got to buy? Depends on how you portray it. If they shake you off and say, we know these things don't work, then you missed something. They didn't. Because once they hear the story the right way, you can't lose. Once you grab that back and you start sponsoring people into your business and focusing on them, helping them become successful, you'll understand what network marketing is all about.
I've been in network marketing for 15 years. I've been in some of the best companies ever created. Companies that went to $1 billion in less than 10 years. And they all had the same thing this company has: the perfect timing, the perfect product, or the perfect service. And that's what I see happening here.
Now, to find out how you can get involved with EE Fuel is co-founder Dan Atkinson.
For the last few years, I've been watching a craze that is taking place around the world. Literally, globally, people are looking to save money on fuel. They're looking to reduce emissions for their vehicles. What's become very important to me as a marketer, someone who's made my money, my reputation in marketing and sales, is I'm watching a paradigm shift of people's thinking. For centuries, people have chased products to become successful in marketing. What I'm seeing now is a totally different venue, if you would, of the way the market's going to change. And what I mean by that is, for the first time in history, whatever continent you live on, we're all talking about in different languages two major issues that affect all of us. One is the rising price of fuel. Crude oil is at the highest rate we've ever seen it. Number two is emissions. The North and the South Pole right now are melting at rates we don't even like to talk about, not in friendly circles. But what I've seen from a marketing standpoint myself is something that really does hit home. For the first time in history, we have everyone in different languages, I said everywhere, looking at something that has become very passionate for people. It's, how do I save money on fuel? How can I reduce emissions? I'm a grandfather myself. I've got 2 grandchildren, 3 daughters. So for me as a parent, what takes place on this planet in our up and coming years is going to be very important for all of us. What makes this opportunity so unique is, for the first time, instead of people looking for product, we have a marketplace that's literally chasing the position we are right now in history. This is something that no matter who you are or where you live, if gas goes to $10, which it is now in Europe, $15, like it is coming up very closely in Tonga, these markets right now are coming up on places that are affecting people's lives in a huge fashion. So what I see is a product now that does a lot of work for you. Everyone you know buys gasoline, and everyone wants to save that money on that fuel. And what I'm trying to get you to think about from a business standpoint, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's looking for an opportunity, how many people do you know use fuel and care about the environment? You need to let all of those people understand that you've just become a wholesale distributor in one of the fastest growing companies in the United States, around the world. We're going to touch a lot of lives. You really have an opportunity of a lifetime. Don't miss out.
I don't know of any limitations on that.
No, but there are people out there that are, and the only reason I'm asking is because I wasn't sure. I thought, well, maybe if they're, buying it from X and selling it to Y, they don't really have to have don't have to have a middleman license, if you would. So I think people need to hear that. Not only protect themselves, there's a lot of things we could talk about in protection, but what we wanted to focus on, obviously, is your business, how you benefit the group, and I know that all the prices are comparable to yourself and the other large dealers, so that's all good. I like the fact that you guys have an educational process here. When I looked, I thought you maybe just had one video, but when you were telling me last night, I thought, wow, I didn't realize it was this extensive. Even from the counterfeit situation, there's a lot covered here. So there's a lot of people out there that are skeptical about this. When you tell me that I can invest, $1,000 to $11, and I'll say this so you don't have to because I'm speculating a little. If you spend $1,000 on this investment and all of a sudden this is reevaluated, let's just say at $1. The Iraqi dollar goes back to $1, and I personally believe it'll be higher than that, and people have heard it. But if it's just $1, you're talking about investing $1,000 and coming out with $1 million. Now, that is an increase that scares most people. Our grandfathers and our fathers told us as we were coming up in kids, listen, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Well, this definitely falls under the sound too good to be true situation. So I appreciate the evaluation and the education that you guys put out there. We try to do the same. Yes, this sounds like a really, really healthy investment to be involved in. The reason it sounded secure to me in the beginning is Iraq was here before. It's not like we're taking a third world country that is in the dirt and saying, we're going to dust these guys off and make them one of the most wealthiest countries in the world. They were here before. They're going to be back there again. So I think it's a very solid investment. And so I appreciated all that information on your side. I wanted to make sure we brought that out because people listening now can, they don't even have to type as much on some of these blog sites. Go get it from a professional that's licensed with the Treasury and see exactly what can be done there. Do you want to talk a little bit about this cash-in process? I know that we can go to your website and we can find out a lot about how to purchase. You do reserves. You do everything everybody else does. The prices are very comparable as I've checked them out there. They're tit for tat. You decide where you're buying from. But what about the reserve situation? Let's say that this RV is tomorrow. What is your office's plans for helping people recoup their dollars or, cash in, if you would?
Sure. Well, there's a couple things, and actually we have on our top bar, there's actually exchange info. that talks about basically our process for exchanging after evaluation. There's also an article, under one of the articles that talks about it. It's got a complete guide and a number of links they can walk through it. So you can basically, a person can read it and it's got it there. But I'll just go through it very quickly. In terms of with reserves, if someone has an active reserve with us, and let's say anywhere in that 30 days it goes up to significant value, where now that reserve has significant value. Basically, all we need is we'll be contacting the customer probably before they contact us to see what they want to do with that. And we don't need them to send us anything or anything else. We have a little bit of paperwork that basically that says we're taking out the balance of what they owed us. So, for instance, let's say there's a $10 million reserve order. They put down 1,012, something like that. They owe us $9,000. We basically take out that $9,000 and ask them, out of what we owe them, and just say, hey, where do you want this money wired? Where do you need it to go? How do you want it exchanged? And it's a pretty simple process. It's probably the simplest, just to get those off our books as fast as possible. We've already got the dinar. We can exchange it. We know it's already verified, so that's basically how we do it with reserves.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. One of the things you said last night that it kind of got my excitement up, or my interest up, if you would. And again, there's a lot of great options, and we've got some good rapport with a lot of people in the industry. But one of the things I really liked with what you had was the security side of this. If I'm going to cash in dollars, whether I'm going to have it transferred, whether I'm going to bring it down in my own pocket, security is a big issue. And one of the things that I thought of right away was, as far as a secure building, when you start thinking of where a secure building is in any state or city, I automatically do, besides the police stations, I think of the airports. I mean, probably one of the most secure places in the country. They scan for everything. It'd be very, very crazy for someone to come on the property of an airport with a gun, or to have intent of stealing somebody at an airport. I mean, you almost have as much luck going into a bank, if you would, especially when you start thinking about your getaway. You're not parking out front. You got to go to undercover parking. Horrible thing to even think about planning that one. Can you give us a little bit of that? Because I really like the fact you're telling us that a lot of your cash-in, or all of your cash-ins, besides your main branch, is going to be at the airports. Can you explain that a little bit?
Exactly. And that's you're exactly right. That's why we chose airport locations, because they're basically single-point entry, single-point exit, and it's already inherent surveillance around. Somebody couldn't park at curbside, put a mask on, and come to commit a crime with a gun in an airport. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It would just be too much. Plus, we have our own security, but that's why we chose airport locations for our exchange locations, and they're not kiosks. There's not a card table set up out front. We've worked, and we constantly have to shuffle because we keep waiting for something to happen here, so we're having to constantly move space around. But it's secure, confidential space that we can use to do these exchanges. But and we always suggest people that the only other step of security they would really need, in addition to the exchange, is if they're uncomfortable coming to the airport with that currency or leaving the airport with the currency. We have the location secured with our people, but they can always hire an off-duty police officer to escort them. The off-duty sheriff's department, they can work weddings or as bouncers, whatever. They'll be happy to escort you to and from an exchange if you need it. So we always throw that out too for people to think about if they are going to an exchange location. That's one other step of security they can take. So and you can always, there's a list on our website for the exchange guide that pretty much has all the locations that we've pretty much established, or that we will be establishing very quickly after some type of revaluation. So you can go right to the website and find those.
Okay, and two things about location, and then I have a question from Mango Ranchers Google group as well. But one of the things that a lot of our people want to do, we have a large Canadian contingency, if you would, and one of the things they ask us is, how easy is it going to be for us Canadian citizens to revalue to cash in our dinar as well for the investment? Do we got to come down into the United States, or how will that be handled?
Well, we actually have a plant site at Vancouver, Toronto, and Calgary, and we have a relationship with Scotiabank, and we're currently trying to lock down a relationship with the Royal Canadian Bank, which has a number of options. So we think it's going to be fairly easy. We're going to be able to do it up in Canada. and make that happen there. If people want to come to the United States to do their exchanges, they're fine to do that. We can do international wires without any problem. And the way our exchange process works, we have a remote cash manager system that's established. So basically, a customer comes in with their dinar, we verify it. We have the coordinates of where the wire needs to go. We can initiate the wire, process the wire, and as long as it's during normal banking hours or Fed Reserve hours, a customer can verify that deposit has been made in their account before they leave our office. It should take less than 30 minutes to have that done. We do it on a regular basis with no difficulties, no holdups. So it should be a fairly quick and simple process.
Well, and I'm glad our lines are muted right now, because otherwise we'd have had a huge noise with a bunch of Canadians yelling and screaming because they were wondering how easy this was going to be for them, not being American citizens. So I'm really glad that your company also thought about that. As I told you yesterday, one of the things that myself, Steve, and Tony have done post-RV is we've put together a meeting that will be held in San Francisco. We've got a lot of good connections in San Francisco. We've done meetings there for over 5,000 people in our own business, so we have some good contacts with hotels and so on. Most of that will be right around the airport. It's about 25, 30 minutes from the airport because that's where some of the better hotels are. But we're doing an event there post-RV basically because we're going to have some Forex investment guys as well as some attorneys come in talking about annuities and trusts and what they might want to do to protect themselves, making sure everyone pays the right amount of taxes, but also some ways to set up businesses. Now that you're a quote millionaire cash-wise and your investment came out very well, even if you just have $100,000, what's the best way to handle my investment, whether it's gold, silver, real estate, foreign exchange, staying with that currency market, how can I protect myself? There will be that kind of a meeting. Now, unlike a lot of other sites, myself, Steve, and Tony, especially me and Steve, when we put this thing together website-wise, our main intent was this is not for profit, it's not for big gain. It's for helping people that want to understand this investment. We have that meeting that's going to be taking place. We've already got close to 1,000 people RSVP'd. I'm sure that's going to come very close to doubling by the time this is over. Now, there's no charge for our stuff. This is just for their benefit. Can we set something up as a group from Peoples Dinar to actually come down there and as a group schedule appointments? In other words, let's say that our event is done on a Saturday or Sunday. We could schedule appointments at the airport or through the phone, however you do this, so that while I'm staying in my hotel, I know what time I can come down and do my cash in so that there's an appointment. As a group, can we have that kind of a courtesy with yourself?
No, absolutely. We encourage group appointments, either with single point representatives or multiple people coming in, because it's great to have a one point of contact with a group that we can coordinate with to say this is the exact information that we need prior to an appointment. And all exchanges initially we expect to be by appointment, so we'll kind of coordinate in terms of what each person's requirements are in terms of whether they want it to go for some type of gold purchase or whether they, multiple wires or whatever, that type of thing, so we can have that all coordinated in advance, and that's definitely not a problem. And by knowing in advance what kind of requirements we're going to have and what your requirements are, then we can have the manpower and everything else set up to handle any transactions that are going forward. So, yeah, we definitely look forward to that. So, that would work.
And Mango Rancher with Kevin, that has the Mango Rancher group, who's recording this for us as well, and I appreciate all the stuff he's done for our site as well. He's got a large group himself, and we've kind of merged our efforts here with him, and it's been a good experience. But one of the questions he had, and I didn't know this, he said, that out of respect, your company looks towards your customers, first in, first out type situation, which we all appreciate. That's good business. But as a group, Peoples Dinar has a group of people that have been here for obviously a long time. We've all been invested in this from the beginning or just got involved. We're new. Can we be treated that way just from a group standpoint? Hey, I'm with Peoples Dinar, and a timeline doesn't matter. It's basically a group consideration, if you would. That was a question that he had.
Yeah, obviously, in terms of the, what our expectations are in terms of capital strains upon, strains on our capital expenditures for doing these exchanges, we expect them to be manageable without any problem. The priority issue always comes down to if we're absolutely huge onslaught, overwhelming, then we definitely have to give, just as customer service point of view, we have to give priority to our customers initially. In terms of, and a customer is just someone that's purchased anything from us, basically, makes them a customer on our customer list, that type of thing. But we don't expect that kind of constraint. We expect them to come out at a sustainable, managed float. That is what they have said they would do. At a reasonable price that'll hopefully bring more buyers. There'll be some people that want to buy, there's some people that want to sell, and there's some people that want to hold on. So with that said, I think we should be able to manage any exchanges from any group, whether they purchased it from us or not. So that is our plan. So we can definitely make, for Peoples Dinar, we can definitely work with you to as a group, since we have a lot of people that have purchased from us in your group and some that haven't, so we can make considerations around that and almost treat it as one entity. So I don't think that'll be a problem at all in terms of managing your exchanges.
No, I didn't think so. That the question we just put out there. I mean, as you know, that there's a lot of different ways people can do this. In the very beginning, I foresee people being $50,000 to the $100,000 in dinar notes or $25,000, taking it down to their bank, doing what they need to do financially. A lot of people have lost their jobs. They've waited for this a long time. So getting a quick satisfaction is probably going to be done at the banking level, especially for a lot of our groups, because they're going to be coming out here anywhere from 4 to 7 days after the RV, post-RV, coming into San Francisco. People keep asking me, when's the date? Well, tell me when the RV is, and I'll tell you. Because we've got a standing situation with the attorney group that's coming in. Listen, you give us 72-hour notice, we'll be there. So if the RV basically took place this Friday, we would say, hey, meeting's on for Wednesday, RSVP if you're coming in, and we'll make arrangements for seating and hotels and, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be some people that we're going to have a secured situation where we can do shuttling dinar. Trade is down into Bakersfield. You're talking about a 6-hour drive. You got San Francisco Airport, which is right next to them. People are going to be making their own arrangements all around the board, from going to the banks or whatever it is. But I really appreciate your situation here, being at the bank, being able to accommodate our group and everything. I know that Steve, my partner's on this line with us, as far as Tony as well. Steve, did you have some questions you want to run by Ty here? I know that Tony's going to talk about Ty's background a little bit when he gets in here, but you want to ask him a few questions yourself?
Everything's actually been covered very comprehensively. It's very, very good information. Very pleased and satisfied how easy, doing the reserve part is versus other options that I've seen. So I commend you on making it easy for all the members to be able to do that. So I thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's just I really appreciate you guys letting me come on, because it's there's a number of great organizations out there. Our product's just a little different, and so it's good to give people choices. So I'm glad you let me come on and definitely talk about who we are and what we do and kind of what we're about. But we try to be as flexible as we can and try to make things simple, not just for our customers, but also for ourselves. It's the steps that we can take out of the process without and still following the rules and regulations. We're all for. So.
But one more piece here before I turn this over to Tony. I know one of the things that Steve wanted to ask you, we were talking about this earlier, is we spoke last night about some things that are really interesting to us. In fact, this might be one of the more exciting parts of this call for our members, is we spoke last night, and I know that you have to be careful because of your position, but everybody on this call, besides how do I cash in and how do I buy from your company and everything else, the next question is, what's your opinion? I mean, we sit in a very heightened position right now. The anxious piece of this is definitely upon us. We've seen a lot of things happen with the Chapter 7. We've seen a lot of things happen with the GOI. It's close. It's almost a hybrid, as one of our members said the other day, Joe P. said, we've kind of got a hybrid situation here where they didn't do a Chapter 7, but they relieved a lot of tension. They didn't do a GOI, but they did announce a lot of the seatings. So being that we're that close, are you seeing a change over there in the country? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about some things going on over there cargo-wise, and maybe even your own opinion, if you can. I'll let you step out as far as you want.
Okay, well, let me first of all, let me approach this way. I really try to stay away from rumors, or because I get them all day long. People say, hey, I heard this happening, I heard this is happening, and I really try to focus on news or what is actually going on in the currency markets over the Middle East. We have a single source supplier that we use out of Kuwait for our dinar deliveries, and they're very well connected with ties with all the currency markets in Iraq, Jordan, United Arab Emirates, all through the Middle East. So if I actually need information, or I want to know what the trend is or what's actually happening, rather than listening to the rumors, I just go straight to the source and say what is going on. And just to give you a little background, when this currency was moving steadily from 2004 up to, probably about 2007, mid-2007, it would move up every so often steadily and tick through. And when that would happen, we'd always get a feeling in terms of, I start to talk, the exchanges that we use, it's like, what's going on? And the markets would get tight, the prices would come up, a lot of the dealers would start holding on to currency because they wanted to realize the gain in value, so they'd actually start holding on to it. And so that's really what I go by. And every time that would happen, it seemed like the currency would move up shortly thereafter. And so that's where I really go with my guideline. There's been a lot of hype, go through periods of hype here in the United States, but I come up over the Middle East and it's all quiet in the currency markets, and it's like, well, that's quite a dichotomy. They're so close, to the action. Why aren't they? They should be feeling it too. But what's been going on probably the last 2 or 3 months, and this is just my experience. And you can read it for what you want, but there is an expectation that as this new government comes in, there's been a lot of stagnant time and space going, as they've gone through this process to establish this new government. But the expectation with my Middle East contacts, the people who I deal with and in my purchases, their feeling is that as this government comes in, they are going to make a change. That is the expectation. And as a result, that's the general feel that I'm getting through the Middle East. Prices are high in terms of what we're having to pay for it. The availability is somewhat limited. It's just harder to get. And the currency dealers that I deal with are buying and holding on to it because they have that expectation. To me, just my personal feeling, rather than really any news or rumors or anything else, and things I go by are what they are feeling. And to me, that's fairly strong. And I talked about this with you last night when we talked, but there happened to be an embargo placed on valuable cargo shipments coming out of the Middle East, and it seems like the only one is able to move any valuable cargo right now is Lufthansa. And the reason, I asked what is the reason for this, this embargo on valuable cargo shipments, and it was that something, at least they suspected something illegally was moved, but or was tried to move through valuable cargo. In terms of what the real reason is, or if there's some kind of ulterior motive, I'm not sure. But but you can check with any of the carriers. But it's very difficult to do a valuable cargo shipment anywhere out of the Middle East right now to anywhere else in the world. And I know it goes through at least till Monday, and they may extend it beyond that. So we have plenty of supply, and we have alternate ways of getting supply. Unfortunately, it entails sometimes currying back and forth, which is a real headache. But we're definitely able to keep our supplies running fine. But as far as the valuable cargo, there's an embargo. You can check with Emirates Air or anyone else. But that's what's been going on this week. So what it all means, I don't know. I feel it's all, as just my opinion as an investor in the TNT Dinar, I feel that it's a positive sign. It's definitely not a negative sign. So I guess time will tell. We'll see what happens. That said, I always tell people they should have a long-term perspective with a long-term conservative perspective with any potential investment, and and have that outlook. So we'll see. Time will tell.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm not sure where Tony sits with this, but I'm going to hand this over to him. Tony, if you have anything you want to, I have a couple of things I'd probably like to ask you on top of that question. I want to get as much information as far as the timelines, which you're not going to give us anyways.
No. I'll give whatever timelines I can.
I'm just kidding. I know that you and Ali both have to be very protected, and we all appreciate that, appreciate your time. Tony, I know you had some things you want to talk about. If you even want to have him enlighten a little bit on the timelines or where we're going with this, that's fine. But, Tony, I'll just hand it over to you.
Okay, Ty, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Okay. I do want to get into your personal background because I like to do business with friends. That's just the kind of guy I am. People say business is business, but business is friends with me. So that's who I want to do business with first. But before we get into that, I just had a few more questions about the company itself. So
But my first question would be, I mean, we know about the banks, and we've had everybody go see their banker and talk to them and what they do. Ali, tell us why we should do business with you versus anybody else out there. What does your company offer that's different is what I want to know, that's going to make me say, that's the guy I'm going to work with.
Well, I really, let me approach it this way, because I really don't, I don't want to say anything bad about any of the other companies, because there's some great companies out there that do the same thing that we do, and I have good relationships with a number of them in terms of how they operate. I respect their businesses. Ours is just different. It's just different in terms of how we do things and the products that we have, and versus some people have products that appeal to different customers than what we have. So the only thing I can say really just we are a rock solid company. We have been around since the beginning. We have been, and it's so important to deal with someone who's been through the money service business audits that shows that we are doing things the right way, that we will be around in the future. And it's also very important and this is one reason why we came out with those videos last year, was that we are capitalized to do any exchanges in the future. That's why in some of our videos, if you look at it, I mean, we're like, well, here it is. Here's some of currency that we're going to be able to exchange immediately to capitalize our accounts to be able to do these exchanges. There's a lot of small dealers out there who are, you might think they're big, but literally they're working month to month, and there's no capital to ever, there'll never be capital to ever exchange a single dinar. There's also, we're registered the right way even with our bank. You'll see a lot of companies out there are registered as collectible companies with their banks or something along these lines. They'll never be able to exchange. So the only thing I can really say, we offer different products, and we feel we do it the right way, and we're proud of that. Our currency sometimes is a little bit more than where you might be able to purchase at other places, but we know that, but we're comfortable with that because we pay a little higher price for our currency because we have a single source verified supplier, and we're not just picking it up from the cheapest person in the Middle East or whatever, because ultimately those questions can be asked, and they are asked. I mean, we have Immigration Customs Enforcement come through and say, where did this originate from? Show me the trail. Make sure it wasn't laundered money, that it's not some illegal funding for nefarious activies that can harm the United States. So that's just how we are and who we are and how we operate. So it's really like I said, we're just a little different. And we're proud of how we operate. So I don't know if that if that tells you, but that's just who we are.
Well, and that was a good answer. Okay, and I appreciate that. Earlier Dan had said that, a lot of people are going to run to the bank and cash in because that's the closest thing they can get to. But I think there's an airport, and, within everybody's district, a major airport. So this thing happens 3 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, 12 noon. How fast are you in your locations? I mean, because if I can save money going there versus the bank, then that's what I really want to do. But how fast are you going to be up and running?
Well, and that's a good question. We get asked that quite a bit. But what I can say is it depends. And what it depends upon is when an announcement is made, how significant the announcement is, and any restrictions that may be placed upon the exchange. We are prepared to open almost immediately. But the problem is, if let's say there was an announcement today, let's say right now, they're 8 hours ahead, 8 or 9 hours ahead over there right now, so it's the middle of the night. Well, their holiday. Our Saturday and Sunday is Friday and Saturday for them, so their banking system is going to be shut down Friday and Saturday. Our Fed system is shut down Saturday and Sunday, so the first time that anyone could even capitalize the account to be ready to exchange is going to be Monday. So that's one factor. The other factor is how this all goes down. If they announce a value change, depending on what that is, if it's a tremendously significant change in value, are they going to have the capacity, or are they going to put restrictions on how they do exchanges, because ultimately this all has to go back through Iraq and the Central Bank of Iraq, and they have to process it. So as long as there's no restrictions there, then it should be within 3 days basically at the most, to be able to open up a site. But again, I can't really give you, I'm sorry, I can't answer your question exactly, but it depends. If they come out and said, well, it's, just hypothetically, they say, well, we're selling it, we're selling at 101, or the rate's $1, and you can buy, we're buying back at, they're selling it, whatever. They have their spread, but they may say we can't really start our process for 4 days until we have everything in shape. So we're going to be at the mercy of their schedule. So I'm not sure what their infrastructure is to handle this, and so we'll just have to see. The only thing I can tell you is we expect to be open as soon or sooner than anybody else, as fast as possible. So.
Okay, let me ask you this, because you were getting to it, and I was, we know that all the banks are going to have a spread. So there's a CBI rate, there's a spread, there's their rate. Where do you think you're going to fit in there? Are you going to be with the banks, or are you going to be at the CBI rate? I mean, what is your procedure?
No, not the banks at all. We're pretty much right. Whatever the CBI is doing is what we're doing in terms of if we're passing that rate on, and then it's just a transactional fee. And basically, here's the bottom line. This company's owned by, our company's owned by two individuals. We got involved in this business originally because we felt, as the investment, we've held the Iraqi dinar. We continue to hold it, and we expect to we expect that investment to go up. And with that said, our goal on the backside isn't to nickel and dime our customers, on exchange. So our goal is really to pass along, just whatever fees we get to our customers and exchange them out. And what that exact fee is going to be, we can't tell until there's actually some type of change in value of the currency, because the transactional costs for us to exchange this money, one, the knowns are wires. If somebody has multiple wires, well, it's going to be a little bit more. It's not that much. It's just a little bit. It's like $25 per wire for each account that it's going to. The unknowns are the shipping the currency back to the Middle East. That price or that cost to us is based off of the value and the volume of the currency being moved, and that's really the big unknown right now. But if you want me to give you a ballpark figure, I think it's probably going to be $150 somewhere there per transaction, just as a baseline in terms of depending, if there's multiple wires, it may change a little bit, or if it's simpler, it could be less. But I guess we expect to be as cheap as anyone. And my hope is that, I know the banks have these ridiculous spreads. I've heard the 1% to 2%, which is absolutely outrageous to me that they would do that. But my hope is, and just for customer benefit and, everybody's interest that's involved in this, the dinar thing, is they've already taken the Iraqi dinar off of the exotic currency list, why that's significant with OFAC and FinCEN is it makes it easier for banks to be able to deal with the Iraqi dinar. And that was done, I believe, back in mid-September. That notice came out that it had changed that status. And my hope is really that there is going to be a huge demand to exchange this currency and interest in it, buying, selling, holding, that banks will come on board around the world to exchange this currency, and that they will be competitive, and I think they would want to be. If you think about it, are you really going to try to milk a customer for more money who's bringing in potentially millions of dollars into your bank to open up a bank account? I would say I would make it as easy as possible and as inexpensive as possible for them to bring that money into my bank, because that's an asset for the bank that they can, the rates that they can lend against that are huge. It gives a bank huge strength. So that's my hope. But I guess back to your original question, I expect us to be as cheap, if not cheaper than anybody. We're really not profit-motive on the backside of this investment. We'll, the assets that we have or that we hold in this currency will be we expect to be very wealthy. So, why do we need to go nickel and dime to people that we've worked with for years now, many years? It's just not our goal. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. I appreciate that because I don't want to be nickeled and dimed. I mean, just tell me what it's going to be. But let's go to the next thing here. We hear or people think maybe there's going to be a time frame that we can turn this money in. They're dropping it zeros, and I'm not talking about the lop talk, okay? But I'm talking about they're trying to bring in all the big denominations, but I don't want to cash in all my money right now. I want to wait and see what's going to happen here with the economy, some other things. That's what I'm going to do. But am I going to be able to change in my larger bills for the smaller bills with you? Is that something you're going to do for the new denominations? Or?
Whatever they win or if they come out with these new denominations, we will be able to exchange those. In terms of timelines, I'll hit on that point for a second because I occasionally, and I don't know where these rumors come from or why so many times, but I hear, you're only going to have a couple days to get out these large notes and then they're going to be worthless or something. And just very quickly, even when there was a changeover from the old Saddam notes to the new Iraqi notes, there was a very long change-out period so that people could take all their old Saddam notes and trade them in for the new currency. And the bottom line is you're going to be a legitimate country in the world economy as part of that group. You've got to be responsible, fiscally responsible with how you handle your currencies and money. It would almost be like the United States saying, hey, we're changing out the new $100 bills, and you've got 1 week to do it or they're worthless, and thinking they're going to pocket some kind of, get rid of some debt by doing that. That's just not the way things operate. Actually, to the contrary, I know the U.S., when we changed out our $100 bills a number of years ago, we actually went to the efforts to advertise all over the Eastern Bloc to let them know that they could and how they could do it, just because we have to have accountability for all those notes coming in. I mean, it's a debt. You basically borrow against your your treasury to issue the currency, and you have to be accountable for it. So we don't expect there to be this mad rush to exchange large notes, and because they have to be accountable, and also realize that it's not just individuals that own these 25,000 dinar notes or any of this currency. A lot of it's institutionally owned. I mean, there's investments, there's banks, there's countries, and for Iraq to come out and say, hey, you've got this many days or it's worthless, that's just not responsible. And everybody say, well, okay, well, your economy is a joke, your currency is a joke. This is, it's just not. We just don't expect that. And I hear the rumors that come out about it, and I don't know where they come from. It just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm completely off, but that's just my opinion.
Well, no, and we appreciate that. I mean, it's your business, so I mean, you should know. I mean, that's how I feel about it anyway. So, well, that's my questions about the business. But again, I like to do business with friends. We can make money together and be a family. Peoples Dinar is a family, and we all try and look out for each other, and we like to introduce each other to friends. So let's be friends. Tell me a little bit about Ty.
Let's see. From Atlanta, basically born and raised here, and I went off to school at a little, basically the Air Force Academy. Basically went in the military in 1983 out in Colorado Springs. Out of there, I was flying. I went to pilot training down at Reese Air Force Base, and came back as an instructor pilot immediately, training people to fly jets, T-37s down there in Lubbock, Texas, till 94. Then I went into C-130s, active duty, which is a combat transport. Did that for active duty till 97. Really enjoyed it. Spent some time over the Middle East doing that, a lot of time over in doing the Bosnia stuff, a lot of time through South and Central America, working with different counter-drug operations down through there. And then transitioned to the Air National Guard in 97 and did that all the way up until 2005. And I did a lot of, again, more Bosnia stuff, more, like I said, got activated for the war in 2003, logged a number of combat missions up through Iraq and all through Afghanistan, and then transitioned out in 2005, and I still do part-time work with the military, working with, just because I enjoy it, like wearing the uniform and working with people. So that's pretty much, that's my professional background pretty much. So.
Well, I appreciate it, and I like it. As I tell you, I was in the Air Force. Actually, I was in the fighter squadrons too, with the 105s and the F-15s, if you'll know that. So here on the West Coast.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah, those are rocket ships. Those are amazing airplanes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, no, it's an unforgiving business being around those types of airplanes.
Yeah, but I love the military, so I love that you were in, and this is real life experience, not just somebody who saw an opportunity and got involved, but you were actually over there. You gave your history. You saw this firsthand, and you were aware of what happened with the Kuwait dinar.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was interesting. It's interesting. It's actually the supplier I use. We're actually very good friends. He's a Kuwaiti citizen. He actually went to University of Miami, but he's owner of the company that I use. But it's interesting. I've had long talks with him, but he was actually there as a currency exchanger and dealer at the time during the invasion. He said he was actually driving his oldest daughter to school one day, and she looked up and said, "Hey, Daddy, look at those helicopters coming down the road. Isn't that something?" And he looked at him and said, he was thinking to himself, "Those aren't our helicopters," and basically turned around and went back home and lived through the whole siege. And
okay, you still there?
He had a break. I ran into the room here because I heard him kind of popping and breaking up. I wonder if his cell phone went out.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, he's here. Okay, he's there. All right. Okay, good. We thought we lost you there for a minute.
No, that's Steve.
No, I was busy putting up some really good news.
So that's Steve.
Hold on, guys. Steve, if you do me a favor, I'm going to go back and get him. We're probably on a different line. Steve, I got to imagine you're over there squirming in your seat. You and Tony can fill in just from. I know we're about done with Ty, but you're a pilot yourself. You own your own jets. You want to talk a little bit about your background and your experience? I want to know that about you, Steve.
Well, I got a citation, but anyway, and I enjoy flying. The only thing, if you have your IT guy get a hold of me, I have to actually leave my Scottsdale office, and I got to head down to Chandler. So can you have your IT guy get to me so I can get your banner up for you?
I'll get a hold of him. I think we lost him. I think we lost connection, Steve, so it's just us on the line. Kind of an abrupt way to end. I'm sure Ty didn't know his phone was dying because I could hear it. But I'll call him back. Go ahead.
Okay, my battery's about dead, so I'm going to have to conclude myself if that's okay.
Okay. No problem. Steve, thanks a lot. Tony, do you have anything you want to add to the wrap-up of this?
I don't. I didn't know if you were going to get him back on or not. But if not, I think that was great. That was a great call. There's great information. I think everybody should feel comfortable where we are. We're getting it, again, from someone who's directly related to the situation, has people, as we say, boots on the ground. Should have better information than we do. My understanding of our conversations this morning, before and after the call, is he feels comfortable. He feels it's about to happen. We're coming in at a good rate, and I don't think we could be in a better position than we're in. So, and that's my 2 dinars worth, I guess. Okay. All right, are you still there? Okay. Well, with that being said, I guess I'm supposed to entertain you guys till we see if we can get Ty back on the line there.
He just called in, Tony, so if, I know we're going to wrap this up, but let me give this man a chance to say goodbye and give his thanks and so on, so I'm going to catch him right back. But I know one of the things you could talk about, as we talked about earlier, Ty's background. He's still active. He still has a title. He still has an officer's position over there. But what he didn't say modestly, just like Steve saying, oh, yeah, I got a plane. Steve's got a little more than just a plane. He's been flying for a long time. He actually did some things that I thought he would talk about as far as being a pilot person, very good photography companies and so on, but we'll let him just maybe talk about that later. This was just about Ty, I guess, but let me get him back right now, and hold on one second.
Okay. Well, we're still here. Don't you guys go anywhere. We're going to bring Ty back, and we're going to conclude this portion of it. So.
Hey, Tony, this is Mango Rancher. You might want to ask him, as far as the locations, we realize that they're all going to be at airports. I want to kind of find out how many teams he's got going on so we know whether it's just specific locations at a time or whether it's going to be consistently, 15 teams,
okay.
15 airports.
All right, that's a good question.
Okay.
Are you back?
Ty. I don't know how we lost you there. I apologize about that. I did just kind of abruptly jump back in on these guys. Hopefully I didn't catch them mid-sentence. But, Ty, I know we were about wrapped up. Tony, did you have something you wanted to wrap this up here with?
I actually did, Ty. Let me ask you one last thing before I forget. And, you know, I'm going to call you a friend now, just so you know. All right?
All right, sir. I appreciate that.
Okay. Hey, what kind of locations are we looking at you getting started, and when? I mean, how many locations? What kind of teams do you have together that people can look to and feel comfortable that you're going to be able to take this on? Can you just
Well,
give me a
in terms of we have on our website we have our locations down, but basically we have it's just you've done deployments, I know, and it's basically set up like that in terms of mobile laptops, counting machines, verification machines, and the space. So we feel very confident that we can handle any exchange or restraints that we may face. So we feel comfortable with that. We have our obviously and our main location is in Atlanta, but as far as the satellite locations, you can just right there on the website, they're all listed in terms of what we have set up, and we feel confident we can handle any volume that comes our way. And if something or when something occurs that's significant with the value of this, we will be sending out a mass email to anyone that's on our email list. You can if you want to get on that list, all you have to do is go to info, that's INFO @dinarbanker.com. Give us an email, and we will be blasting newsletters, emails, and it'll be on our website immediately in terms of setting up exchange appointments and things like that. I will say right now we have a trained team to answer questions that are specifically about Iraqi dinar and handling transactions, and that we're staffing up just as fast as we can. It's just hard to teach people all the ins and outs of actually doing the processing that we do, but in terms of exchange appointments and that type of stuff, we have separate emails accounts set up for that, and a group that can definitely process those. So we feel confident that we can handle it.
Oh, I actually clicked on that since you said it on your site, and yeah, I like these locations. I mean, that's all across the country. I don't care where anybody's at. They can get to one of these. So I do appreciate that. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Dan so we can close it out, and I appreciate you being here. And, again, it's nice to have a new friend. All right?
Well, thanks. I just want to say thanks for having me. And like I said, I keep getting a lot of feedback from my customers about, hey, these guys are doing something, that's really kind of neat and unique, and it seems to be unbiased, and it's like an open space, and please contact them, let them know about your services. So we're just different, and it's just another option out there for folks, and so I'm just glad I could get to share that. You gave me the opportunity to share that with you, so thanks so much for having me on.
Well, Ty, we appreciate you coming on here as well, and I'll wrap it up with this. I mean, we've made a friendship with yourself. As you know, you're friends with Ali. We've made a friendship with Ali as well. What we want to do is just offer a system and a position for people to do this what's best for their family. Like you said, there's going to be some banks that will allow themselves to be a cash-in place for some people, but you guys offering a service before and after is something we all really appreciate. And, as you said, this is something that this becomes a family, a friendship. We're going through some pretty trying times. For some people, this is going to change what they drive and where their address is. And for others, this is going to put them in a retirement position where they can spend the rest of their lives with their kids and grandkids. And for others, this has just been a real fun ride actually, I don't know how fun the ride is going to be. The conclusion will be fun. But we appreciate you coming on here and spending your time. And our main goal, as we've said, people kind of laughed at that no boss, no cost thing we put on the front of our site. We don't want people telling us what to do, and we don't want to make any money off this. Myself, Steve, Tony, we're here just to kind of help people enjoy this and stay into a calm position, understanding this is a real live investment, even though it sounds a little crazy. And the conclusion of this is going to be beneficial for all of us. So we appreciate you partaking in that. And again, we promote no one. We just expose what's going on. We try to give the facts and use the news. We're one of those blog sites that tries to stay away from the hype and the promotions, because we don't have any benefit except for spending our time with other folks. So thank you very much, Ty, for coming on, Tony, and thank you very much, Kevin, on the back end for recording this for us, and look forward to talking to you in the future.
Sounds great.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.